Hello friends, this is our beginning of new series called Ajax. So this is our introduction to Ajax. What is Ajax? It stands for Asynchronous JavaScript and XML. It is just a new name for an old technique. It is a combination of JavaScript, DHTML and XML HTTP request object. It is not a new thing. It has been in use since 1997. It is already enabled in your web server and browser, so you do not need to do any tweaking to make Ajax work. We can use JavaScript asynchronously behind the scenes to load additional data, typically in the form of XML, without discarding and reloading the entire web page. So it provides the server with reduced load and a less number of hits. Why should we use Ajax? Because it provides us with very user visible effect and rich user interface experience. Amongst other advantages, it is also portable across browser. You need not to install any DLS to make Ajax work. So these are some of the advantages of Ajax. Ajax provides us with dynamic data and can bring our life to the new world called dynamic world, where you need not to hit the refresh button every time. The server will automatically provide with updates, and our web app will work like a desktop application. With the use of Ajax, we can make our web application multi-threaded. That is, we can fetch the data before needed. We can provide the user with progress indicators. It also consumes less bandwidth and less server load. So what we are doing is just reloading partial page, not the whole page. The question now is how much we should use Ajax. The answer is as little or as much as you like. With the advent of Ajax, it is one more item in your bag of tricks. So start by jazzing up your existing user interface with Ajax. So this was the end of tutorial containing the introduction to Ajax. Hope you enjoyed this a lot. Thank you. We will use the XHR object, that is XML HTTP request object, which is a JavaScript object which is common to almost all of the modern browsers. In order to use XML HTTP request object, we need to manipulate the methods. So these are the methods. First is the open method. It accepts three parameters. First two are mandatory while the other is optional. The last parameter states that whether the method is asynchronous or synchronous. Default is asynchronous. The second method is send. Whenever the data is ready to be fetched by the server, this method is called, which in turn calls a callback function. Next is abort method, which terminates the current request. The other is get response headers and get response header, which gets all of the response header. However, only first two methods are of prime importance. The other one is set request header, which sets request headers before sending. The properties of XML HTTP request object. The first is onReady state chain. It is the event handler that fires at each state chain. The ready states have 5 codes. First is 0, which states that it is uninitialized. The second is it is loading. Another is the data is being loaded. Fourth one is the data is being returned, and the last one is the response is complete. The other one is status. It is another property of XML HTTP request. If the HTTP status code is 200, it means that everything went well. Then there is a response text and response XML. Response text is string version of data written from the server, while response XML, it is XML DOM document of data which is written. Then the other method is status text. It is the status text returned from the server. Let's look at an example of using XML HTTP request object. First, we are initializing our object. Then, whenever it is ready to receive the data, we are attaching an event handler. Event handler is a function. Then we open the URL and use the send method. Then wherever the state changes, my function, which is called my handler, is called. When ready states equal to 4, either we show the data to the user or do some processing on it. Else if the receiving of data is in progress, we show the progress indicator. So it was tutorial familiarizing yourself with XML HTTP request in AJAX.